It's danger signs for the rest of the Premier League if Arsenal get this one over the line. Newcastle right now, though, as it stands, have rejected Arsenal's opening bid for their midfielder and their captain, Bruno Guimarães. He's now returned to pre-season training at the club, but has told him he wants to join the Premier League champions, Jeff Stelling. And Gabriel Bonloho won the breakfast show this morning, and they said it's in Newcastle's interest to let Bruno leave if he wants to.
He's reportedly said that he wants to join Arsenal, so the deal will happen. So from a Newcastle perspective, get it done. Yeah. Don't let this become Alexander Isak Mark II, which dragged on forever and benefited no one in the end.
You can't blame him, can you? Like Isak left, Gordon left, Tonali left. He's a captain, but he's probably thinking, I'm going to be probably guaranteed the Premier League.
Newcastle isn't, as you know, I think Newcastle's a fantastic football club and the supporters are incredible. But when you're one of their top players, and he's such a talisman there as well, and you see the people going through the exit door, you're inevitably going to be tempted.
We'll focus on the Arsenal side of things in a couple of minutes. I just want to touch on the Newcastle side of things, obviously, because look, when they were taken over, if you're a Newcastle fan, you were in just heaven, right? It was like, okay, we're gonna be as good as Man City, we're going to dominate, we're going to win Champions Leagues, we're going to win the league, certainly win the league. I mean, I think me and you predicted in 5 years they're going to win the league. All of a sudden, your manager goes, your best players are leaving the club, wanting now to leave the club, literally knocking on the door, asking to leave. I mean, as a Newcastle fan, it must be incredible. 2 years ago, you won the Carabao Cup, and you're thinking you're going to kick on from there. Now, all of a sudden, all those top players that helped you win it have gone.
Yeah, I mean, it's a disaster for Newcastle, isn't it? When you think about what Bruno Guimarães is to them, when you think about the way that the Gallagher feel about him,
and how he feels about them.
Yeah, of course, it's a mutual thing. Of course it is. He was actually very critical, wasn't he, of the way that Alexander Isak conducted himself last year. So that isn't necessarily going to stand the test of time. The fact that he was suggesting that Alexander Isak didn't conduct himself in the best way is now going to age quite badly, potentially, considering that he wants to move.
And the fact he's asking to.
But you can kind of understand why. He is a class act. He is a brilliant player. He is also Newcastle's best player. He's their most important player. He's also their most popular player. He's the conduit between the players and the fans.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about what St James's Park is, there always needs to be somebody on the pitch that represents the fans in the way that.
And it's him.
And it's him.
And it's him. And that's why it's such a big one for Newcastle. I mean, you can understand the Isak one. And look, Newcastle fans loved Isak, right? Up until the point he said he was going to leave. Bruno leaving, your captain leaving just hurts even more. And then it goes on to strengthen Arsenal, who, I mean, they don't really need help in that department. Zubimendi or Lewis Skelly will be there. But the upgrade on those two, if Bruno goes into that position, and he will, it's phenomenal.
From Arsenal's perspective, I think this is just the perfect signing. I really do. I think it's exactly what they need. It's very unlikely that Declan Rice will be able to play the amount of football that he played last year. He is a wonderful player, Declan Rice, but in a very specific way, it feels like he's on his own in that midfield. Like, I rate certain players. I think Zubimendi's a very good footballer. I think that the contribution of Mikel Merino is there for all to see. But Declan Rice is clearly the jewel in the crown of that midfield, and he has a lot of pressure on his shoulders. If Arsenal season goes as well as they want it to, they'll play in excess of 60 games. I don't think Declan Rice, off the back of what we saw in the World Cup, off the back of the tournament that he had over there, off the back of the Premier League season, will be able to do that. So he will need help. And the way that you secure that help is by signing a Premier League proven midfielder who can play instead of Declan Rice and alongside Declan Rice.
Yeah, it'll be a player as well that Declan Rice trusts. I'm right, I'm with you. So you're right, I'm with you. I think Declan Rice does too much work in that midfield. And we spoke about it yesterday. I almost feel like it unleashes Declan Rice. All of a sudden, you can say to Declan, go. You can go and commit what you do. You don't have to think of running back now, because you know what? I can also do that role, and I can do it very, very well.
Yeah, but also what you're bringing in is you're bringing in a player that can play with Declan Rice. Declan Rice and Bruno Guimarães as a midfield duo is about as intimidating as you can get. I'm talking sort of not only in world football at the moment. I just can't really think of two better midfielders that you could put next to each other at club level. Like, it really is elite. Rodri and Elliot Anderson would be an example, but this is comparable.
No. This is the way, when you think of what Arteta does, look how he set up his back line. It's almost as you won't get past us.
Yeah.
In terms of creating goals, that's up to the others to do. But in terms of not getting past, you're not getting past Declan Rice and Bruno Guimarães.
No, but you see, this is the beauty. This is the beauty of both of them, particularly Bruno Guimarães. If you think about what he did for Newcastle, you think about his responsibility in that team. He was their goal threat, whilst also being the foil for that defence. He would also create a lot of goals. His assists, through the roof there. His goals hitting the back of the net, through the roof. But tackles, interceptions, again through the roof. Then he's the personality of the team. I think Bruno Guimarães signing for Arsenal, it's so detrimental to everything that Newcastle United want to be, or at least profess that they want to be. And it is exactly the way that Arsenal should be manoeuvring. When you win the league, You are trusted with a power. So power is passed upon you. You are allowed to behave in a very bullyish way. You are allowed to almost command you can demand certain things from other Premier League clubs, and what you can do is you can go and pick the best. This is exactly what they should be doing. Going to sign a Premier League proven player who is also a Brazil international from a rival. This is how you actually retain a league title.
How much is it going to cost to get him out of Newcastle?
Interestingly, not as much as you think.
Well, they've already rejected 75. We're led to believe around 75 million. What number is it going to take? 90?
Newcastle's finances aren't in a strong enough position to reject a major bid. They aren't. They can't do that.
Yeah, but they're strong enough to the point where they've already sold Alexander. Look, Liverpool, you want Isak? Fine. You're going to have to break the transfer record. What, Tottenham, you want Tonali? Fine. You're going to have to break your transfer record. But in order to get their best players out, even Gordon going to Barca for 60, in order to get their best players out of the club, you do need to spend money. They're not giving out players for cheap.
No, that's true. But there is also a reason that Newcastle United are resorting now. They're adopting the Chelsea model that's been cast onto the ash heap of history and basically signing players who are 20 years old. There's a reason that the Newcastle transfer strategy is a 20-year-old kid from Hoffenheim, a 20-year-old kid from Ajax. Like, there is a reason that they're doing that. And the reason is because they can't be as splashy as they once were. So if someone does come in and offer, if Arsenal were to offer Bruno Guimarães, 28 years old, it's Guimarães' last real opportunity to sign for a club with genuine capabilities of winning major silverware. If he doesn't do it now, he probably doesn't get this move. It's also his last opportunity to increase. It'd be on 200 grand a week. Arsenal give him what? 300 grand a week?
No, 100 to it. Yeah.
Right? So this is Bruno Guimarães' last opportunity.
I think he's going to have to be what he doesn't want to be. He's going to have to knock on the door and demand a transfer. But he's going to have to be exactly what you said about Alexander Isak and the stick that Bruno openly gave to Isak about wanting to get out of the club. I think he's going to have to do exactly the same thing. I think it's a lot more difficult to push a captain out of a club than it is any other position. As you say, he means so much to the club. And if Arsenal are going to want to come and get a captain, you're basically taking the heart out of the club, the soul out of the club. You want our captain? Good luck.
I don't think so.
Well, it's already 75.
No, but I don't think it's
they're going to have to go. They're going to have to go in with 90.
No, I don't think it's as difficult as you're suggesting, though. You know, when you're saying you're going to take the captain, it's true. But it's a different ship now. If the ship was sailing,
agreed.
like you've already had so many people jump off it. You've already lost the captain in as much as Eddie Howe's gone. Like, this is now, it's up for grabs.
What do you think he would be worth? Like, remove all this. If forget it's Arsenal. If Bruno was up for sale today, what's Bruno's valuation? 28 years old, international, starts by the way as well.
I don't see how he's much less than Sandro Tonali. If Tonali's £100 million footballer. Yeah. From the same club. I don't see. Also, Tonali left the midfield that was arguably better because Guimarães was in it. Guimarães leaving has almost been justified because Tonali's no longer there. It's almost been justified. Like, you know, if you're a Geordie, and I imagine that you would be fairly irate with Guimarães because of the love. When you love someone that much, that's why the Scousers hated Torres, because they loved him so much. When you've loved Bruno Guimarães this much as the Gallagher has, they're going to be livid. But it's kind of understandable.
I think if they're honest, they'll be like, look, everyone's going. He's going to go, isn't he? There's this acceptance that, of course, he's going to go.
Of course he's going to go. And on some level, you can't really be anti him going. If you're rational, football is beautiful because it's irrational. Like, I never understood why Eden Hazard or Arjen Robben wanted to go to Real Madrid, because football is irrational. But if you remove the bias and the allegiances, of course you can make sense of this. You're joining the Premier League champions. You're going to get a huge amount of money. You're almost definitely at Arsenal this year going to win the Premier League. Like, barring a disaster, particularly if he goes. Yeah. If their midfield option suddenly goes, like, you take Norgard out of the Arsenal squad and you put Guimarães in it, you look at that elevation.
It's incredible, that is.
Yeah.
Top 5 midfielder in the league?
Guimarães?
Yeah. Forget numbers. Forget the 6, the 8, the 10, the 4. Just midfield. Just blanket midfield.
Well,
is he a top 5 midfielder?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't thought about ranking it like this, but I think it would be almost impossible for anyone to name 5 better midfielders than Bruno Guimarães. Almost impossible. I'd put you to the test. I'll put some names forward.
Okay, Rodri, obviously.
Okay, Rodri is better.
Declan Rice.
Declan Rice is... You know what I mean? Like, that's a statement.
Not a bad position for Arsenal fans to be in, is it? And TalkSport understands that Bruno Guimarães is expected to leave Newcastle, Spanish training camp in the next 24 hours to undergo his medical at Arsenal. The fee is expected to be worth around £80 million. All right, we're taking your calls now. Where does Bruno Guimarães rank among the best midfielders in the league? 03717 22 Let's go to the phone lines first. Let's go to Seamus, Arsenal fan. Seamus, you get him. League's over, isn't it?
No, I don't think he's a priority for us, to be honest with you. I'm not getting overly excited by all this talk of signing him. Our priority is someone like Kvaratskhelia, someone like Doué, someone like Alvarez. I think we've got enough about us in the middle. and that is with resting Declan Rice and also Saka. If anything, we might want to look at a wide left player. Nico Williams might be worth looking at. And if anything, we possibly need to have a look at Konsa coming in for Saliba, who could be out until November. But Guimarães, he's not worth that money, 80 million. He's not. He's all right, but he's not good. He's not top draw. Tell me what Brazil did in the World Cup, please.
Nothing. I was watching him. Not much. And he didn't do much either, if I'm honest with you. And like Rory, I think he's right, Seamus. In terms of priorities, not saying that they don't get him, it doesn't elevate, but priorities is through the middle. I don't think Gyökeres is the answer. He's good, but he's not the answer. If you can get Julian Alvarez, you go for him. And he's right, left wide.
Declan Rice, Zubimendi, it's unsustainable what you're asking of them at the moment. Now, you have to then decide, is Lewis Skelly the answer? Lewis Skelly will obviously ease the burden on those players.
Played in the Champions League final.
Yeah, absolutely. But is Lewis Skelly enough? I would say no. I would say that it's completely unsustainable to expect Declan Rice to have the season again that he had last year, to ask Zubimendi to do the job that he did last year again. At some point, you need reinforcements, and those reinforcements can be Premier League proven, internationally proven.
But you've got 80 million. Don't that 80 million go through? Don't you look through the front line first and say, okay, we need 80 million on that? One thing we accused Arsenal of last season is not scoring and creating enough chances. That was one thing there was.
Sorry, forgive me. I didn't realise that this was an either or. If you're asking me, should Arsenal sign Bruno Guimarães or Vinicius Junior, I'd say Vinicius Junior. But that doesn't mean that the midfield doesn't need to be looked at just because the forward line needs to be looked at.
Yeah, I guess it's the priorities. Let's go to Jim, the Newcastle fan. Jim, you probably heard me earlier saying that I feel sorry for Newcastle fans. What's going on at the club? Your manager, Eddie Howe, leaves. All your best players. It looks like a jumping ship. You can't lose your captain, can you, a couple of weeks before the start of the season?
Hi, lads. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're fine, mate. Yep.
Yeah, so out of the three that have left, I was speaking to my daughter while I was on holiday because all this news came out while I was on a cruise, and I had to Google half the players that we were signing. So it'd be nice to get someone that you didn't have to Google. But out of all of them, Bruno is one that, from our feelings, he deserves the chance to. It's his last big move, and he deserves a chance to win trophies. At the level, I mean, we won a trophy, but we're not going to be competing for what he's going to be looking to in the last echelons of his career. So he would go with, I would say, the true fans most of blessing. It's a shame it's a Premier League club. He would look at Anthony Gordon and be thinking, I should be playing at Barcelona or Real Madrid. And when that happens, you know, I personally would give him my wishes. But for all the money that's been spent, you got to remember that Newcastle's midfield last year was found out. It was slow. It was we had the same formation, and teams found us out. They passed around us. Now they didn't always play together. Joe Linton, Tonali, and Bruno. There was a big patch of the January to April period where they didn't play together. Tonali never stepped up to the plate when Bruno wasn't in the team. He will get probably mixed feelings because I was at the game when he came back from his suspension and at Nottingham Forest in the Carabao Cup, and he got a hero's welcome, and he'd hardly kicked a ball for us. Anthony Gordon, you can't turn down Barcelona. Probably good money for him and a good move for him as well. Bruno, it is the captain. That's the only thing. His kids are Geordies. They were born in Newcastle, but you can't stand in his way if he wants to win trophies. Probably deep down, it's probably hard for him as well that the club isn't in a position to follow through on the Carabao Cup win. But again, he probably in a team where there's multiple good players, he will thrive on a rotation basis, which again, he's never been on a rotation basis. I just think we're maximising the amount of money we can receive for these players.
And I guess that's the important part, isn't it? Make sure you get as much money as you can from those players. Great call, Jim. Appreciate it very, very much. Interesting to hear different sides of it. One Arsenal fan said we don't really want him, not priority number one. A Newcastle fan saying, yeah, look, he can leave with our best blessings.
Yeah, it was also very interesting, I thought, that he's being quite courteous about him, suggesting that Guimarães deserves this move.